Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Tuesday, May 28th, 2024, and I want to go over some of the top headlines this morning. Talk a little bit more about the passing of Bill Walton, who finished his career with the Celtics, passing at 71, the day the Celtics advanced to the NBA Finals, where the finals are scheduled to begin on the 78th birthday of the franchise, the Boston Celtics, the 78th NBA championship. Yeah, because it was amazing what they did with Bill Walton yesterday in the Celtics and Drew Holiday, who went to UCLA like Bill Walton. If you watched the game last night, the camera just followed Holiday around all game like he was the star of the game, even though he wasn't. We'll get to how tragic it is that more of the world does not understand what's going on in these sports rituals, which every year the championships involve death. We'll talk more about that. But today, closing arguments in New York versus Trump. And it's just hilarious, you guys. I mean, go back to what we were talking about in spring 2023 when this court case was getting underway, the Alvin Bragg indictment against Trump. And we were talking about how everything was 60. And then you'd be watching the national news that night, and they'd say 60% of America supports indictment of Trump, and just on and on and on. We were documenting just like how it was 60 every single day. Remember, Trump ended up in court for the first time in 2023 for this case on April 4th, on 4/4, what would have been the 44th birthday of Heath Ledger, who died while playing the Joker in the Batman film, that big hit film where he died while filming it. Remember, go back and look at the headlines from April 4th, 2023. The headlines will show you it was that day. It won't point out that it was Heath Ledger's 44th birthday if you were alive, but it will point out that he was in court right after they filmed the latest Joker scene for the new Batman movie. And go back to 2015, 2016, when Trump was campaigning for president. Multiple times he said, "I am Batman," because Bruce Wayne is, the billionaire born into wealth who's trying to save the world. So Donald Trump has the Bruce Wayne parallel. And then you learn Gematria and you realize Bruce Wayne equals 45. Like, again, Trump's number 45. Like Obama joked on the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan, which was April 30th, 2011, that Trump would be number 45, which was 45 days before Trump's birthday. And again, he runs on mega, the highest degree of the Church of Satan. So Obama's joke from April 30th, 2011, the White House Correspondents' Dinner on their 45th birthday, not an accident. Just like it's not an accident that he was called president-elect on November 9th, the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, when Berlin Wall equals 45, like Bruce Wayne. But anyway, Trump was number 45. He was also the 44th person to be president. Trump, 44th person to be president, number 45. Started the whole birther thing with Obama. Birther equals 44. We were just talking about the ritual they did with Trump at the Kenyan White House dinner last week. Big 44 ritual. Big joke. But yeah, again, coming back to how this whole thing began with 60. Today is exactly 60 weeks after Trump appeared in court on Heath Ledger's birthday. Exactly 60 weeks later. And again, I mean, just go back to spring 2023 before they take down another whole channel like they've done 20 sometimes. Because this is the problem with my channels getting taken down. We're always calling things before they happen, pointing out the patterns the whole way, just showing how history repeats. But then instead of having a catalog of videos that should go back to, 2014, 2013, all of the original videos I tried to put up in 2013 ended up getting taken down by YouTube. I've always been dealing with censorship, but it got really bad in 2017. Again, my entire channel got deleted on Elon Musk's birthday, June 28, 2017, shortly after Trump came into office, who said he'd like to censor all of his critics, when at that time my channel was dedicated to showing how Trump was this stooge, being paraded around by the numbers. But anyway, it's exactly 60 weeks after he appeared in court. And remember, in Gematria, Donald Trump equals 60, Alvin Bragg equals 60, indictment equals 60, and the rest of the list, names of judges and everything. Again, huge pattern because it's the upcoming 60th U.S. presidential election. And it reminds us that Trump's ex-wife fell down the stairs and died 45 years after they got married. And she died exactly 60 weeks into the first ever Jesuit Ignatian year, which began May 20th, 2021. Right now in the headlines, that's Cannonball Day. Right now in the headlines, supposedly Pope Francis did a homophobic slur on Cannonball Day. Cannonball Day is the day Ignatius of Loyola um, got shot with a cannonball and then began his life path that ended up forming the Jesuits. Again, Billy Cannon died in recent history connected to Joe Burrow on Cannonball Day. Judge Eileen Cannon wanted Trump in court on Cannonball Day before he got stuck in the New York versus Trump trial, and on and on and on. But and she's in the news today as well. Judge Eileen Cannon is in the news today delivering a victory for Trump. And again, with regards to 60 and the Jesuits, the word order equals 60. They're known as the Jesuit Order, Order 60. Look into the Jesuits' history. When they were recognized by Rome in 1540, for their first 10 years of existence, they had an order of 60 members. So yeah, we'll look a little bit more about that, but that's a big one. We'll talk about the rate, or not the racial, but the homophobic slur that I wanted to call him Ignatius Loyola, the modern day Ignatius. No, that Jorge Mario Bergoglio, Pope Francis. Pope Francis supposedly said homophobic slur on Cannonball Day, so it was like shots fired at the LGBTQT community. But we'll talk about what's funny about the phrasing of the slur in light of him being, the guy who Benedict stepped down on the 59th day of the year for, and in light of being the guy who the 59th U.S. presidential election gave us number 46, exactly 46 weeks after his birthday. And that was Joe Biden. And Joe Biden lost his son at age 46. And JFK was killed at age 46. And 46 is special because the Catholic Bible's different. It has 46 books in the Old Testament. The word Catholic in Gematria is 46. Pope Francis, of course, is 59. So we're going to get to the, or why even keep you in suspense? If you look up the word that he said in Italian, I just quoted it right from the article. Maybe you're not even supposed to say it because I'm sure YouTube's algorithm is speaks Italian, and then your channel's taken down because you quoted the Pope. And that's where we are with the censorship. I mean, these are the kind of things I've lost my channels over, like quoting history, having a different take from the media on a story. But anyhow, you can see that the word he used, which means, that 3-letter F word that we used to all use in the 90s, and it wasn't something you wanted to be called. And back then, people weren't so sensitive, and people didn't all look like a bunch of fat marshmallows. Again, it was a much better time, actually, but we were allowed to use that word, and it had meaning, and it was like you were being way too soft and weak, and you needed to, anyway. That is the word in Italian, and notice it's got that 59, like homophobic and Pope Francis. Isn't it funny how they put the stories together? And again, it's just divisiveness because, again, they feed this to a populace that's charged up on these things. It's funny how the Catholic Church is highly associated with conservatism, but then you look at the things they're behind, like the Jesuits, they're very much behind the liberalism, and you see how they make these wedges in society and then how they play on these things. This is exactly what the 95 Theses was about in the Protestant movement. They said the Catholic Church was instigating bad behavior in communities because then they knew that people would come to confessional and pay the church a lot and reveal all their information to the supposed trustworthy priest. And you wonder why the Jesuits are the greatest intelligence agency in the world when they're worldwide with this scheme all over, because everyone's down on their knees thinking they're the middleman to God. But anyway, it's another 59. We've seen a lot of them. Again, Benedict stepped down February 28th, the 59th day of the year, 2013. Then he dies at 95, the German Pope, like Martin Luther was the German who wrote the 95 Theses that brought about the Protestant Reformation, which brought about the Jesuits, recognized by Rome on the day, leaving 95 days left in the year. But yeah, what a ritual. And Melinda Gates, we just covered it a couple weeks ago, her perfect exit from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation 94 days before her upcoming birthday, when, again, her and Bill were married on the first day in 94, and then Kurt Cobain of Seattle died 94 days later, and then years later, the Seahawks finally won the Super Bowl in the 94th NFL season, and then Russell Wilson's grandpa died at age 94, like Bill Gates' father died at 94, like his mother died in 1994, the year they got married, and on and on and on, but she left 94 days before her birthday. Again, you guys can check out our video from last year, opening day NFL season, Seattle hosting the LA Rams, and we were out there telling the fans before the game, You got to wake up to how rigged these games are. Matt Stafford's about to pick up his 94th career road win. And people were like, yeah, right, whatever. And the next thing you know, Matt Stafford is picking up his 94th career road win. And I got to go back and check the baseball box scores around that time, too, because I want to say the Guardians were playing the Mariners that day. And Guardians also has the 94, the new name of the Cleveland team. And I want to say they won 9-4 over the Mariners. Like, oh, man, double 94s against Seattle. Anyway, Melinda French Gates, we're going to talk about now where this fits in even deeper with the history, because now she says she's left the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation so she can make her focus with her wealth and her attention more about restoring women's health rights, which is, mostly just the right to an abortion. That's ultimately what's behind that phrase. And again, phrases become like that because people are trying to persuade others and they know words have labels and things have to move. But notice, abortion is another one of these 94 words. And it reminds us that Bill Gates' father was one of the main figures of really spreading Planned Parenthood. It was established before he was born. But again, you look into the history of Bill Gates' father and his relationship with Planned Parenthood and essentially women's health rights or abortion. Big history. And then also you look into his father. A lot of people think his father was into eugenics. And then you've heard what Bill Gates said. I mean, Bill Gates literally gave a conference, a TED Talk in 2010, talking about, the possible need to reduce the human population to save the earth. And he gave one very clear, specific reason to start off how that could be done. And for everyone who does not know what he said, you need to go listen to his January 2010 TED Talk, Innovating to Zero. It'll make a lot more sense why at that same time on his 94th day of his age, he was in Davos, Switzerland, which equals 94, like Seattle, Washington, talking about similar things and pledging to have a movement to vaccinate all people by 1 decade from then. He said that in January 2010, January 2020, the first case of the virus, the one from China with the lab leak theory and all that. Event 201. But again, the first case of the virus ended up being outside of China. The first case in the world outside of China ended up being in Bill Gates' backyard, Seattle, Washington, 94 land. And just like Seattle, Washington is 94 in Gematria, and so is Davos, Switzerland. So is coronavirus pandemic. And again, if you guys have not read my first, or not my first, but my second book, Number Games, the one I wrote during the time of the pandemic, I got it out by October of 2020. I was working in super hurry mode, and I'm glad I was, because that book was dead on, and that book explained why they'd wind down this whole thing by the numbers when the year of the tiger came around, which is exactly what they did. It wasn't an accident. Like nearly every celebrity at the beginning of the pandemic on TV had either tiger print on or a tiger T-shirt, or holding up their infant who supposedly had it with a tiger on his little nighty PJs or whatever, just everywhere. But yeah, 94. You start to trace it all back. You start to realize it's all about population control. And again, that's a deeper topic, but you think about what abortion is to population control, right? And look, whenever they put up those stats about how many children have been aborted in the time of Roe versus Wade, look at how they put up the pie graphs by race and look at the way it is, you guys. Like half the chart is a certain race, and somehow that's the same race that ends up in cages in major indiscriminate numbers. And that's the kind of color that happens to be a lot of neighborhoods where they create a new, cheap, addictive form of cocaine and funnel it in. And then they create crazy prison sentences if you're caught with this cheap, inexpensive form of cocaine. The rich person cocaine still has a short sentence, but now the poor person cocaine comes with, man, you could be in prison for decades. You could end up in there for life. But anyway, and again, you think about the Bill Gateses of the world. Look, go by the Melinda Gates Foundation. Just always images up of Bill Gates with all these African children that he's experimenting with, supposedly trying to do good things. Remember the virus? You had the Idris Elbas of the world on TV telling you, if you're darker complected, you're going to need this jab when it comes out first. We need it first. But then you go back and listen to what Bill Gates said in 2010. You're like, seems to fit a much larger pattern. Like I always say, Bill Gates says he's doing a nice thing for African people by allowing them to go inside nets full of GMO mosquitoes that he's funding and letting them get bitten to see how they react, but he pays them a good salary. And then it's like treated like this is a great thing that Bill Gates is doing for Africa. And I'm like, would this fly if this was in Seattle? How would the people of Seattle feel if Bill Gates was funding high paying jobs in Seattle with his GMO mosquitoes that are in nets? You know, I have a feeling people would be like outraged. They're like, hell no, you're not doing that here. What if they get out of the tent? Then what do? Why do we need GMO mosquitoes? And again, people aren't asking these questions. But yeah, it's just it's all ritual, you guys. She leaves 94 days for her birthday. So and now the story comes out today, and we'll get to why more today. But yeah, and the sad thing is, like, you can hardly talk about these topics without getting your videos taken down. And what does that say? And again, you look into what we're talking about, you'll realize Melinda Gates is from a family of Jesuit priests, and her birthday is August 15th, which is the Jesuit order's birthday. Go figure. And the Jesuits are from France, and they got to tell you all the time now that her middle name is French. Like, look at the first part of Melinda Gates' life. They didn't really call her Melinda French Gates that much. In the time of the pandemic before it was just Melinda Gates, Melinda Gates, Melinda Gates. It's not the Bill and Melinda French Gates Foundation, but it's like they're putting it in our face, you guys. And again, the Jesuits, who are from France, who have an August 15th birthday, this day of high ritual almost every year. Recently, the mega big August 15th thing was Afghanistan's government collapsing on that date. Again, the CIA overthrew Iran on that date back in the 50s, 71 years ago, which we'll come to with the death of Bill Walton as he holds Rick Carlisle, or his former Celtics hold Rick Carlisle to 71 wins in the playoffs as he dies at 71, and Celtics is 71 like Catholic. But yeah, it's undeniable who's got this chessboard set and who's having these rituals that tell a story that most people just don't want to see because they want to think that, you know, what's happening to us is legitimate. And yeah, if you missed the couple videos I did in relation to Bill Walton yesterday, that was yesterday, but I'm going to talk a bit more about it today in light of what we talked about very potentially happening in last night's game happening, and just emphasize the point even more. And it was just so obvious. I need to look into a way if there's a way to like forever save a certain basketball game just for the archive because it's such a great example. I'd just love to show you the camera work because I made a point to watch most of last night's game, and I can't stand watching the NBA because it's so bad. Like this Luka Doncic, he can't even dribble a basketball. He has to put his hand all the way under the ball to make his move. Watch, anytime this slow, sluggish guy is making his move, his hand is all the way under the ball, moving all over, and then he puts it down. That's a major carry. That's a turnover. He does it every time. If the NBA doesn't allow him to do that, he can't create any separation. He does have a nice shot. That's his game. But the only way he can play in the NBA is by being allowed to carry all over the place. Just like how they had to make it so Brady could be allowed to fumble and still keep possession of the ball. Anyway. Last night's game with them following around the UCLA player all game on the day Bill Walton, the UCLA star, died at 71. Again, we're gonna talk about it, you guys, just how perfect it all is. Again, Rick Carlisle, the former Celtics, stayed on 71 playoff wins and fell to 26-26 in the playoffs all time with the current team he's with, Indiana, where Celtics is 26, like Pacers, like UCLA, like Cancer. The star of the Celtics last night takes 26 shots and makes 26 points. After Kobe died, a lot of commentators said that the closest thing the game had to Kobe right now was Jason Tatum. It's just, again, Bryant equals 26. Kobe dead on the 26th. Run it in reverse. Bryant 37. Kobe dead on the 37th anniversary of the death of Bear Bryant. We'll come back to all of it. So yeah, just to make sure that we got it all the way in. Things that are interesting about Trump closing arguments in New York versus Trump today, Tuesday, just like election day is Tuesday, right? We've been showing how this whole thing is synced with the 60th U.S. presidential election. Talking about this nonstop. First video I put out where I said Trump was going to be the Republican nominee and it would have a great narrative to win re-election in this 60th election. I mean, how long have we been talking about that for? Since like shortly after Biden took the White House. Go back and look at when Trump's former casino was demolished in New Jersey. not long after the election. That was the day we did like the biggest video where all these things made so much sense. If Trump would be the nominee in this election, and if he became the nation's second Grover Cleveland at age 78. And keep in mind, we're Bill Walton, who just died, who finished his career at the Celtics, as the Celtics advanced to the finals. Joe Biden's Secret Service name is Celtic. Again, John Havlicek died the day that Joe Biden announced he was running for president. We've been talking about the ongoing rituals year after year with Joe Biden and Secret Service name Celtic. But Bill Walton's birthday is November 5th. Jesuit Guy Fawkes Day. Look up Guy Fawkes Day. It's the day the Jesuits tried to blow up British Parliament. Very political. Blow up the government building. Bill Maher on Jesuit Run HBO has been saying since days after January 6th that was the 93 World Trade Center bombing, and the next election, Trump will be back, and it'll be 9/11 in that election. That's what Bill Maher said. Remember that. We've been talking about all these things the whole time, how this is all coming together. The 60th U.S. presidential election, 1860 and 1960 elections gave us who? Lincoln and Kennedy, who were both shot. And mind you, both shot in rituals that had a lot to do with the number 144, like RFK died at 1:44 in the morning. On and on and on. But this year's election's 144 days after Trump's birthday. Again, RFK Jr. got in the race 144 days after the Superior General's birthday. Jesuit order equals 144, like you're fired. Like the United States of America, which is a corporation, truly. And corporation's another 144 word, a biblical number. But anyway, today, again, exactly 60 weeks after Trump first took office in that courtroom, April 4th, 2023, what would have been Heath Ledger's 44th birthday, when, again, the media made a big deal about how that courtroom, they just shot the latest Joker scene in right before Trump got there. So 60 weeks later, and, if you guys come to my website, GematriaEffect.news, nothing after that, just GematriaEffect.news. If you come here and search Alvin Bragg 60, I'm sure it'll take you, if just scroll a little, let's see. Okay, that's today's post. There's a lot of things that have been documented on the site. Let's see. And they've been doing it with other trials too, like the whole one down in Georgia as well was full of 60. But the most 60. This was the day before Trump took office or took court. Took a seat in the courtroom in New York. But the why is 60 minutes amplifying the views of Marjorie Taylor Greene? But on that same day, CNN's lead sentence in Trump and people supporting the indictment, 60% of Americans approve of the indictment. And again, just not an accident. But hold on. Donald Trump and Alvin Bragg, by the way, both the exact same forwards and backwards, 48 and 60, like the 60th election upcoming. And again, if Biden somehow does not finish his term, which a lot of people think is going to happen, so that the Democrats can get somebody else in there to actually compete, Fox News right now is continually reporting that Trump has an 18% lead in national polling, but all these different sources pull from different things. You watch CNN, they'll have a way closer race. But even CNN is acknowledging that seemingly the gap is growing between Biden and Trump. And imagine Trump comes out of these court cases looking, good. That's only going to grow in his favor. But think about it. If Biden, had to make a late exit and somebody's in there momentarily and it's Kamala Harris, and now, the Republican campaigning is, about how you can just imagine how it would go. So anyway, there's a possibility that Trump could end up becoming number 48, reelected. He would go down as number 45. And if he goes down as number 47, we get the joke there. We've been talking about Trump and 47 nonstop since 2015. But that's the interesting thing about Trump. He has the connection to 47 and 48. So really could make sense either way if he comes back, as we've been talking about. And Yeah, so just about this whole thing in anticipation in New York when it first began, just pointing out how that this story that day was the 281st day of Trump's age, the 60th prime number. Hush money. This whole trial's out. Hush money. 115. Like Trump took office with the 115th Congress. The election this year is November 5th. 115. The Nationals won the 115th World Series, perfectly synced with Trump. After he hired Steve Ray for Inauguration Day, the Nationals announcer. Okay. I know I have better pulse. Um, it's just I guess we talk about these things so many times over the year. I was hoping it would go back to the original post right off the top. Oh, here, just to go back to when Trump first appeared in court, April 4th, 2023. The day he appeared in court, he surrendered. And right away, just had to appear back in court on a Tuesday and election day. All the signs, this has just been about a theme for the upcoming election. There's a reason this nation makes us vote on Tuesday. Yeah, he did that while Stormy Daniels was 44 as well, on what would have been Heath Ledger's 44th birthday. Remember how somebody shot up the Colorado courtroom when they were going through their whole show? And that was exactly 44 weeks before the election. JFK was number 35, but the 44th term president. April 4th was 44 weeks after John Hinckley's last birthday. John Hinckley has the same birthday as JFK, May 29th. And he's who shot Reagan, who has all the parallels to Trump. Go back and look at the headlines from 2016, November 5th, which is the day of this year's election. Again, you'll see the story that Trump survived an assassination in Nevada. Nevada has that 115 connection as well. And again, there wasn't any video footage, but that was just a story published everywhere, but just no proof that it even happened. So, and remember, Reagan and Trump, another parallel they have besides running on MAGA, again, the highest degree of the Church of Satan, is that they're actors from Hollywood. If you missed what we were just talking about with the death of Morgan Spurlock and Reagan and Trump, you got to go back and check that out. I mean, this stuff is undeniable. When Trump appeared in court, it was exactly 83 weeks before the upcoming election. Elections got that 83. 83 is the 23rd prime. Donald equals 23. Today, closing arguments exactly 23 weeks before the upcoming election. Here's a screenshot where I got how Donald Trump, Alvin Bragg, and indictment are all the same. Again, these numbers have just, especially the 60 with the 60th election. Again, for the people who watch these videos and then have conversations about how you think like this still could just all be a coincidence, I want to hear like more thoughts out loud than just saying that, yeah, because I realize that's how almost all the critics are. They make dismissive statements with no support behind them, but then you just hear a lot of people saying the same thing. It's like, okay, why do you think this is all a coincidence and how it keeps unfolding this way? It's like almost every week I have a new example of the ongoing 60th election in the ritual. But yeah, this one was 60 from the beginning and closing arguments just exactly 60 weeks later. I mean, come on. How many times I talked about Pope Francis in 59? Now he's dropping the F bombs, the homophobic F bomb in Italian, which is a word that has gematria 59. And see, again, just thinking about things logically. Again, you look into history. If the Catholic Church did give us the calendar, which is true, and it does come from the Jesuit priest Christopher Clavius, which is also what goes down in his storybook, then there's a early sign that the Jesuits and the Catholic Church seem instrumental in the system. You look into the oldest English script known about, it's the Catholic Church. It goes back to the monk Burfirth of Ramsey Abbey from about 1000 AD. Oldest English script goes back to the church. Again, for years, the Catholic Church was very, priest class was like the ruling class of society. They were the ones that were the messengers of God, more educated, knew how to read and write, whereas most people didn't, but they knew how to listen and retell stories. Again, I have a guy out there that's trying to troll right now because he's trying to make the point that there's just not enough written information out there about Kabbalah to prove anything. Look more into Kabbalah and you'll find out that forever it was oral tradition and people didn't write down anything because they didn't want the knowledge to spread. And again, the power of writing things down and them spreading is obvious. I wouldn't know about any of this unless somebody had written it down and then another person written it down and then eventually put it on this website. So again, a lot of people just don't know enough about anything and don't have the right thoughts and come to all the wrong conclusions based on a limited perspective. That's pretty much the problem with everyone who's ignorant. And you see a lot of them who think they found the greatest truth of the day that's entirely based on their ignorance. Anyway, how perfect. So May 20th, 2024 was a date with 69 numerology. That's an interesting number, 69, for a lot of reasons, but just what he's accused of in all the headlines is homophobic slur. Everyone's using that phrasing, and then the word is, uh, maybe I can even, no, maybe I shouldn't say it. I bet the algorithm speaks every language, so it knows if you say, again, it's sad that you can't even read a story without fear of getting your videos taken down for hate speech. That's where we are. Thank you, big tech and AI. Can already see just how the tyranny works through AI, and people right now are debating about it. It's like, yeah, all technology could be great. The problem is it's all about who controls the technology, and it's obvious who controls the technology in this world. People who want to control and manipulate others. Been that way for some time. Highly obvious. Pope Francis has apologized for using an anti-gay slur during a meeting with bishops. The 87-year-old pontiff reportedly made RIP to Bill Walton last year with the Celtics was 87. 87's all over the place this year. It's a sad. Puff Daddy, the only one still breathing that's gotten a whole lot of bad 87s. A lot of people have bitten the dust, but Puff Daddy, Mr. 87, he's just getting kicked around like a, I don't know, fill in the blank. The 87-year-old pontiff reportedly made the homophobic remark in a closed-door meeting last week as he told Italian bishops that gay men shouldn't be allowed to train for the priesthood. The Pope never intended to offend or express himself in homophobic terms, and he extends his apologies to those who were offended by the use of a term, as reported by others, the Vatican said in a Tuesday statement. As Pope Francis, has said on several occasions, in the church there is room for everyone. Everyone. No one is useless. No one is superfluous. How do you say that word? That's not a word I use. Superfluous? There is a room for everyone, just as we are everyone. The Pope's comments came to light on Monday when two Italian newspapers, the Corriere, what? I'm sorry. I'm one of these English-speaking Americans who's just so bad with other languages. Corriere della Sera and La Repubblica reported on the May 20th meeting, citing sources in attendance. Again, May 20th is Cannonball Day. That's the day in history Ignatius Loyola was shot with the cannonball. It's the day Billy Cannon died, and not by accident. And then Joe Burrow went on to replicate his career in college. And in the year Joe Burrow goes to the Super Bowl, he plays all four of Billy Cannon's NFL teams, the only four he played for in the NFL playoffs. Woo, man, just a reminder where all these scripts go back to. But yeah, again, shots fired at the LGBTQs with this homophobic slur. For the record, other 69s, Catholic Church is 69, the Jesuit Order is 69, Illuminati 69, which again is an Italian word, and the Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, and New World Order is a 69. That's something that really bothers me with a lot of people. They're like, New World Order, that's conspiracy theory. And it's like, I don't get how they can even say that. I mean, are they unaware how many presidents and leaders have echoed that phrase all over the world, including our own George W. Bush? Literally gave a speech about the New World Order 11 years to the day of 9/11 when his son was the president, King George, and King George II, you could say, in U.S. history. Well, maybe not even the second. I mean, wasn't the first president of George too? Go back and check how many Georges there have been now that I'm thinking about it. I actually don't know the answer to that question. George Washington, definitely both of the Bushes. Oh, my train of thought. What was I saying about the Bushes? 9/11. My mind slipped. Anyway, How can it all be a coincidence day after day? Okay, the transitioning topic since yeah, I can't get it back in my mind, whatever just slipped out. Here, let me look at the chat. Does anybody in the chat know what I was just talking about before my mind slipped? Sometimes when I do listen back to my shows, like, oh my god, I can't believe I forgot before I made that point. Oh yeah, I was talking about how people think New World Order is some conspiracy theories, but it's something world leaders say. People on TV sometimes just mention the phrase. It's put in a lot of entertainment in movies. Uh, I remember when John McCain was still alive, before Mad Dog Mattis became the oh my god, I cannot think of the phrase for the head of the Pentagon right now. I must be getting amnesia. You can go back and look at my old work on all the stuff they did with Mad Dog Mattis. It was so redundant and ridiculous. Oh my god. Mad Dog has all these 44 connections, like military, like soldier, like infantry, like trooper, like officer. Big military number is 44. The U.S. deployed the most troops to World War II in 44, a year before the war got wrapped up. The U.S. highly involved in the last year of the World War, starting in 44. The first troops were deployed at the start of 42 after Pearl Harbor at the end of 41. Remember, USA 41, the Jesuit suppression lasted 41 years. The U.S. was created in the time of that 41-year suppression, where 41 is the 13th prime and USA equals 41 is the land of 13 stripes. We're going to tell today's exactly 41 weeks after Melinda's birthday. M, the 13th letter, 41, the 13th prime. Again, USA equals 41. You think about people chanting USA with flags. Just think about like this perfect, like, hermetic ritual. Again, look into the 7 hermetic principles that everything carries a vibration that has influence. Every letter, every shape, every sound, every number, every color, everything has a shape and a vibration and influence. You just think about how they got everyone doing these things that are all in accordance with like certain number rituals. They're training you in school for 13 years, K to 12. But yeah, it blows my mind the way people just put so many things in the category of coincidence, which are not coincidence. There's a reason there's a repetition pattern. They think it's coincidence because they don't understand why. They think because they didn't get in their 13 years of training and explanation on numerology or say Jewish mysticism, Kabbalah, where all this stuff comes from, because they didn't learn about this in their upbringing. It doesn't have real meaning. They would. My sister's mentality is if it was important, they would have taught at least a little bit about it to us. It's like, well, I mean, is it not true that the majority of the founders were members of secret societies? Because it is true, and we don't get taught that at all. I mean, that seems pretty important to me. Could it be because there's been secrets in plain sight all along? I mean, wouldn't the same thing happen for a lot of people if it was part of the education that they learned about this thing, Kabbalah and secret societies? Now, Freemasonry is based in Kabbalah and all the stuff that we've learned about. Jesuits created modern Freemasonry, how all this fits together. Imagine everybody got a little bit of this in their upbringing. Don't you think it would all start to make a lot more sense to them? My sister's whole attitude would be totally different. She'd be like, "Yeah, they taught us about this so we could stop these domestic enemies." But no, the domestic enemy controls your education. They work by this code every day to program your mind. They put the same symbols everywhere. Look at the Jesuit-run New York Times article on this. Chessboard behind Melinda. I mean, come on. So, okay. Again, Melinda Gates announced she was stepping down from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation exactly 94 days before her birthday. We covered this just days ago, and there's a long list of 94 with her and Bill. Again, they were married on the first day of 94. In that year, 1994, Kurt Cobain died 94 days later. Again, look into it. Bill Gates became a celebrity in 94, the year of his marriage to Melinda, on the first day of the year. Literally 94 days later, Kurt Cobain's said to have died April 5th. And then his mother dies in June 10th, 94. Synced with the father. I wrote about this in my last book, Number Games. And then right after my book came out, where I wrote about the long pattern of 94, like about a month after the book was out, Bill Gates' father dies at 94, cementing what I wrote about in the book. But also, the point that we're making is it all goes back to population control, everything being done. Abortion, 94. Bill Gates' father, Bill Gates Sr., a big collaborator with Planned Parenthood who made it a lot bigger operation than it had began as. He synced up with Planned Parenthood in its earlier days. Bill Gates' father, who's spoken on the idea of eugenics. Bill Gates said we need to potentially reduce population, and we can do it if we do a good job with blank. You got to look up what he said at his TED Talk in 2010. It's called Innovating to Zero. Funny enough, that equals the same thing as Seattle, the same thing as COVID. That number's 82, like how Bill and Melinda got divorced on August 2nd, 82. Have to go back and check. Did Bezos get divorced on February 8th? The other 82 did. I got to go back and look at what they did for Jeff Bezos. He had a ritual too. And remember, both Bill Gates and Bezos have a huge 94 connections with their companies. Amazon was established in 94, headquartered in Seattle. But yeah, the day that Bill Gates' father died at 94, again, to remind people, that was Margaret Sanger's birthday anniversary. And you see how Margaret Sanger was born in 1879? She is the founder of Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood equals 79. And today, the day that Melinda is going to fight for abortion rights, today is 79 days before Melinda Gates' upcoming birthday. And if you're new here, 79 special. Society of Jesus equals 79. Knights Templar equals 79. The Jesuits, the Society of Jesus, have the Templar cross in their logo. Christianity equals 79. To join the modern day related Masonic order, the Templars, you have to be a Christian. So Christian 79, Knights Templar, Society of Jesus. The truer name of Jesus, Yeshua, equates to 79. But yes, today, Melinda Gates, who comes from a family of Jesuit priests, who has the same birthday as the Jesuit order, again, she just happens to be championing this abortion cause perfectly this amount of days. Remember the pandemic where Fauci was partners with Bill Gates? It was declared on the 79th day of Fauci being 79 years old, March 11, 2020. But yeah, I mean, what are the odds of these things? That even Bill Gates' father would die on her birthday anniversary in light of everything else, that being about 94. Now here we are with this ritual with 94 with Melinda and 79. And you see how Margaret Thatcher's birthday is September 14th and Bill Gates Sr. died on September 14th. That day can be written 14/9 like 149. Today, because it's a leap year, May 28th is the 149th day of the leap year. And 149 is the 35th prime. And again, that's another huge Catholic number. JFK, the first Catholic president, number 35, killed at age 46. Catholic in reverse, 46. Forwards, 35. JFK killed on I-35. Biden elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday is number 46. Inaugurated on the Pope's 35th day of his age. But 149, the 35th prime. Speaking of JFK, his birthday is the 149th day of the year, May 29th. Just a few other things that are interesting about Margaret Sanger's full name. Margaret Higgins Sanger, 122, right? Abortion 122. Remember the memo leak before they overturned Roe v. Wade? It was May 2nd, the 122nd day of the year. And Roe v. Wade was decided in history on January 22nd, 122. And it was decided 122 days after Jane Roe's birthday. And hold on, let me go back and see what day Jane Roe's birthday is again. Norma McCarvey's her real name, but her birthday is September 22nd, the 22nd day of the month. Abortion in the 4-base ciphers does equal 22 and 122 and 94, like we talked about, and 40. Those are the abortion numbers. 40 is very biblical number. With regards to the abortion 50, remember Roe v. Wade was in its 50th year of existence when it was overturned. Norma McCorvey, Jane Roe, died at 69. We were just talking about where that number fits in with the church. She died on 218, like Holy Roman Empire's 218, like Donald Trump, the man with all the 218 connections, had the judges on the Supreme Court, 3 of them, and it was that transition from Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the liberal dying on the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah, who was replaced by the Catholic Amy Coney Barrett, who changed the power of the court and allowed the overturning of Roe versus Wade. And remember, the memo leak was 94 days after the new Catholic Supreme Court justice's birthday. Again, abortion 94, Roman Catholic Church 94. Hell, all of these same numbers keep coming up. So that's why, in the book I've been working on, I was nearly done with it, and I still haven't finished it, but before the Roe versus Wade overturning even happened, which just cemented the point even further, and I've just had all these huge things. I don't want my next book to be big like my first two books. Again, my first book's 800 pages. My second book is about 400 pages. I just want a very concise book, just information packed. And right now I'm experimenting with different ways to write it because I really do. They say the third one's the charms. And I feel like maybe part of the thing for that to actually work out is you have to really make it be the charm. And yeah, I am a tough critic of myself. So I will finish it and I'll feel like I found the right way to deliver it, like I've been looking for all these years. And it is getting closer. I think as long as they don't turn the lights on us and start this thing they've been showing us in the movies and World War III, as long as all that doesn't happen in the foreseeable future. And you just never know it could. That's why we say, this world we're living in right now, man, I mean, they really could flip a light switch and change a lot of things for a lot of people. Live being aware of that, but don't live like that's going to happen. I mean, that's pretty much my mentality every day. Be prepared in case they do. Don't be a fool. They told you for a long time what they intended. They etched it up in stone in the Georgia Guidestones that came. Oh my God, man! It's just I don't see. I remember the Georgia Guidestones came down. I thought I was just going to finish the book like that week because I was like, this is the perfect place to just end exactly what I'm talking about. Writing a book about 201 and population control and all these agendas, and then the Georgia Guidestones about population control come down 201 days after the Pope's birthday on Skull and Bones. Remember George H.W. or not H.W. George W. Bush's birthday. His 76th birthday on 7/6. Anyway. Yeah. Anyhow, I've realized by writing it as like a truthful / fictional entertainment type of book, I don't have to be as thorough and I can make the point and it seems more profound in that context. And I feel like the average person would be more interested in reading it. So yeah, I'm just trying to make the next book that I ever actually put out, hopefully live up to the expectations, I guess. Yeah, I wish more people had read my book, Number Games. Could have made a profound difference in the world. It still can, but I mean, it just could have made it before things really unfolded. We had it all etched out before any of it happened. So, do you think you'd get a spot on again this controlled ass world? But I'm just saying, you think with all the media and crap they put out every day, you think they would have had to talk about us at least one time? The only time I've ever had the mainstream media, if you want to call it mainstream media, ever reach out to me was when that really weird thing happened. Christmas Eve, car crashed through two walls of my house. Happy Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas. But shortly after that happened, got a letter from Judge Judy. I talked about this then. That letter literally showed up in certified mail 33 days after the wreck. And I was 33 years old at the time it happened. And my mom was kind of intrigued. She's like, I was like, I don't know, Mom. This doesn't feel right. I said, I don't think so. I said, if you want to come with me, we might never come back from that trip. We might be the next people that were just found dead for unknown reasons in their hotel room. So I was like, I think I'm going to skip on Judge Judy. Would have been funny to go on Judge Judy and tell the story and then just drop the Gematria bomb. And again, if you guys want to go back and look at that, I'm not making this shit up. Go back and look. I even put up the police report that was written. They waited until days later to sign off on the thing. And the police chief literally waited to sign off because they put the exact time they sign off on the report. He signed off at 12:33 a.m. 12:33, the 33rd minute of the day. I'm 33 years old. It's Christmas Eve. Cars crashing through my house. Story doesn't make any sense. And then, yeah, literally the Judge Judy thing in the mail 33 days after the wreck. I'm like, nah. I think I'm gonna skip that. I don't want to be on TV that way. Somebody can put us on TV another way. By the way, just with regards to the whole abortion thing and 122 again, Seattle and San Francisco, both on the 122nd Meridian West. So is Portland, Oregon. With regards to 122, the word satanic is also 122. The Church of Satan, founded on the 122nd Meridian in San Francisco, which equals 122. From Melinda's last birthday to today, exactly 41 weeks later, Melinda 41. Again, 41's the 13th prime, M's the 13th letter. Symbolic numbers, the sun and the 12 constellations, Jesus and the 12 disciples, the Catholic Church, the calendar, the language, the sun worship, the history, the word sun, male offspring, object in sky. Again, the Catholic Church began celebrating Jesus' birthday on Christmas Day 46 years after they began celebrating the sun's birthday on the same day, 274 AD, December 25th, sun in the sky, 320 AD, December 25th, Jesus, 46 years later. 46 books in the Old Testament, the Jewish section, when Jesus is Jewish. Catholic equals 46. People point out, like, you know, you look at some of the stuff that, like, the Pope wears, it reminds you of the Jewish yarmulke. Hold on real quick. 1 second, you guys. All right, sorry. Phone call. But yeah, not only is it 41 weeks after Melinda's birthday, it is her today's date numerology is also 41. So again, just remember these are important numbers. The Jesuit suppression lasted 41 years. USA 41. The 13th prime. Numbers that come together all the time in high ritual. And again, I mean, there's a reason the fourth book of the Bible is titled Numbers, and the Masons, which are based in Kabbalah, where this whole letters and numbers thing comes from, why they etch on the temple all those number. And look, today, the day of this news, 79 days before her upcoming birthday, Planned Parenthood 79, which is very connected to the Gates family. She's leaving the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Bill Gates' father. See, that's why I like to go to Seattle and talk about this, because the people in Seattle hate it, but they need to hear it. And I notice as time goes on, as we get better and better, we get less haters coming by screaming crazy shit, because I think a lot of people are just silent, but they're thinking this better not be true. But they're like, it sounds too damn. How does he know? How can all that? Again, and that's why when I talk to people one-on-one these days, I don't have many people that are acting like they're like, whoa, I got to look more into this. Exactly. But yeah, Bill Gates Sr., dead on Margaret Sanger's birthday, who founded Planned Parenthood, born in 79. I mean, seriously, you really, I mean, have I not written a book about how important this number is to their rituals? Surely have. Two of them, actually. Yeah, my first book I was done writing in 2017, and I was in the process of trying to get somebody to put it out there, but I did add on to that book after the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School shooting on Valentine's Day. The Eagles with the same logo as the Eagles, who just won the Super Bowl in Minnesota, where Marjorie Stoneman Douglas is from. I mean, it's crazy how they do it. Here, just to read about Melinda Gates. Melinda and Bill, big heroes in Seattle. A lot of people under the spell, so they can't see through the obvious. Somehow their ears clog up when Bill Gates delivers his line at his 2010 TED Talk, and they're like, he didn't mean that. It's like, oh, he didn't. He didn't mean that, huh? Sounded pretty damn clear to me. He said, we can do a good job reducing population if, and then he said exactly what he said. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know how that gets taken out of context. That's what he said. He's literally showing you the category to reduce emissions, how you might need to reduce people. And he says, we can do a good job reducing this category if we do a good job with these. And again, if you never watched that, go back and listen so you don't have to be a believer and you can have the evidence. And just think about how his foundation is right across the street from the world's biggest needle. Okay. Melinda French Gates will donate $1 billion over the next 2 years to women and family rights around the globe, including reproductive rights in the post-Dobbs era. Don't forget, William Henry Gates equals 201, like the Jesuit order, like Order of Illuminati, like how the whole Dobbs thing was a massive 201 ritual, synced with Ketanji Brown Jackson, who came into power in a massive 201 ritual, which is the high number of the Jesuits. That's why the first Jesuit popes, the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican, and they moved Inauguration Day to January 20th, the 201st day of the nation's age. It can be written 20/1. And they also moved the capital to D.C., where the Jesuits set up camp. And again, long history of 201. The only 201 president, though, James Madison, who was in power when the Jesuits came out of suppression, the father of the Constitution, where we live in a world where we say talk is cheap, and in a way, written language is kind of like talk. Talk is cheap. We see our Constitution is mostly a bunch of talk, because most of the things on there, it's like, I don't feel like I ever really had any of those things. Almost like none of those things I really felt like I ever had. I felt like it was like some kind of deception to make me think I kind of have those things, but I don't at all. It's the way it really feels. I mean, again, the one of the top things of the Constitution is to make sure you have an open and fair media that doesn't have to live in fear of the government. Like, well, it looks like the CIA overthrew the media a long time ago. Like, I feel like that's all we get is like military operatives and CIA agents. And, oh, no, they only had an internship there. Oh, okay. And again, the CIA founded on the 201st day of the Pope's age, and the words in their logo equal 201, like their motto, the work of a nation, the center of intelligence equals 201. And again, former CIA agents have said the Jesuits are the best intelligence agency in the network because of the Catholic Church and confession and how much information gets passed. Seems to all make a lot of sense to me. Anyway, here's what's actually shocking, though, according to the news. We haven't got our story about the shocking revelations of the secret numerical code behind the English language. I'm just waiting for that story. Well, we sort of got it, thanks to USA Today making fun of me in the sports piece, and Vice News doing the same thing. And Sports Illustrated did one at the same time as Vice News, but did not name me. But it was obviously they were talking about, because they talked about how my prediction from Way Out was almost perfect. But they're like, but if he were right, wouldn't it have ended in Game 6 like he said? It ended up ending in Game 7 exactly how I said it would end months earlier, after calling several World Series and several more since that, like damn near every one since we've been here. See how we do this year. Anyway, as shocking as it is to contemplate, my 1-year-old granddaughter may grow up with fewer rights than I had, French Gates wrote in a New York Times op-ed published Tuesday. Isn't it funny? Like the right that the billionaires are fighting for out of all the rights Americans need right now. Where's the billionaire who's going to step up with $1 billion to stop big tech censorship of free speech, what the whole country's supposed to be based on? Where's that billionaire at? Oh, and hold on. People are like, that's Elon Musk. That's Elon. It's like, nope, that's not Elon Musk. Zombie. There's way more censorship on Twitter now, X, since he took over. Way more. You can't even write the phrase synagogue of Satan. Try it. Automatically blocked so no one can see it instantly. I've had so many things that I've had to do to unlock this post in my account and upload this since that asshole took over. And I'll remind everybody, the first time my channel was deleted was on that scumbag's birthday, and we were showing back then what a little puppet stooge he was, just like Trump, the supposed white hats of the billionaires. This is the mind control. No, there's no billionaires working on behalf of you. They're all working together to dupe your ass into total slavery. We're almost there. The philanthropist who philanthropist, that's a word that I think needs to be just I know it has a meaning, but really the meaning needs to be like it should be like billionaire bullshitter con artist, aka philanthropist. Example, the Rockefeller family. Example, the Bill and Melinda Gates uh power arranged marriage duo. R.I.P. Kurt Cobain, philanthropist. Somebody out there will get offended because they're actually like a legitimate philanthropist. It's just that they don't have the kind of power and they're not in the media. I'm sure there are billionaires that realized they wanted to do something nice for the world and didn't spend their wealth. But again, the ones we hear about are the biggest cons of the world. And they have turned the world upside down and inside out, all for their greed and control. Okay. The philanthropist who announced earlier this month she'd stepped down from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and who separated from Microsoft founder Bill Gates 3 years ago said her decision comes amid a backdrop of political violence against women and maternal health concerns globally. She pointed out that women across the U.S. states have lost the right to terminate a pregnancy under almost any circumstances. Well, I don't think that's exactly true, but yes, it is very difficult in a lot of parts of the country. And again, I don't think abortion's a black and white issue, but I do see how it's a driving force of almost every election. It's one of the things that puts people in the party they're in, Republican or Democrat, and those people turn a lot of blind eyes to other things in the party. I mean, usually there's some other common traits of Republicans and Democrats, but abortion is a big one. And again, I mean, just the conversation should change instead of just the continually divisive issue of like, how do we create a world where we don't need abortions or they're very rare because almost no mother needs that unless it's like a rare medical circumstance? Why not make that world exist? And again, there's ways that could happen. Somehow, if society like learn to re-embrace community, how can that happen? How can community and society come back and the ability for people to have trust and think there's going to be a network to support them and a village really can raise a child? See, like most of them don't want to have anything to do with the locals around them, the village, because they're going home and watching the TV and everything's just fear driven. And somehow, I mean, there are a lot of bad people, sadly, in our society. I tried to help out my neighbor. It ended up with my house getting robbed. Live and learn. But yeah, I mean, somehow there has to be a way for there to be a support network for mothers who are pregnant who don't feel like they're anywhere near ready to bring a child into the world. If everyone actually had a community, a tribe of people, I'm guessing there wouldn't be many abortions. I can't imagine like those be like, yeah, kill your baby. I don't think that would happen. I think it'd be like, we'll help you get through this. And, if people had community villages, there'd probably be a lot less unwanted pregnancies too. There'd probably be a lot more happy people and nice love stories from a younger age. Again, it's just abortion's just like there's so many complications to get to everything we talk about. It's like, well, how did it even end up to be this way? I bet you look at our ancestors from before the industrial age and the age of the state. Well, again, I mean, you just look at how the way human sexuality is, and when people their bodies mature enough to have sex and procreate, you look at when that is. It's a relatively young age. Someone tells me our ancestors were probably finding their loving partner at that age and starting a family at a young age, so that before long they could have children that were of age and could help them out in a world that was more based on actually having to exist in the natural world. Survival is more of a thing in that world for more people because weather, scarcity, predators, or who knows? Maybe there wasn't any scarcity at all back then. Maybe it was just like this beautiful thing, like in the garden, and then we ruined the garden, got thrown out of the garden. Anyway, all these numbers, you guys, if you're new here, they do come back to the Bible, though. That's where they get their code from. The Holy Bible equals 201, like the Jesuit order, like Order of Illuminati. Like once upon a time, the Catholic Church wanted to control printed Bibles and who had them and who knew how to read and write. They wanted that control over society because having that control gave them power and influence and people coming to them for advice and giving them money for the advice and sharing their darkest secrets. All right, I went way over time. I got to start. Oh, sorry, sports live stream. I'm running late. I guess I got long-winded today. Was I going on that long a rant? My goodness. Anyway, real quick, Bill Walton dead at 71. Again, you guys, Gematria. Celtics equals 71 and 26, and so does UCLA. UCLA, the winningest college basketball program all time, even though they haven't won in a long time. But you see how Celtics and UCLA, again, 71-26. Rick Carlisle, who played for the Celtics as a player, who coached the Indiana Pacers, who just lost to the Celtics. He stayed on 71 postseason wins all time with all the teams he's coached for and fell to 26 and 26 with the Pacers. And Pacers equals 26 the same way as Celtics, the same way as cancer. They're saying Bill Walton died from cancer. The star of the Celtics yesterday, his box score, 26 points on 26 shots. A number, again, if you've not read my first book, Letters and Numbers, there's a long chapter on rig sports by the numbers. The opening chapter is about why 26 is so special and why there's a 26-letter alphabet. What the number has to do with God and Adam and why man's made in the 26th verse and why the four-letter name of God in Hebrew, the tetragrammaton, equates to 26, just like in English, God equals 26. And like Adam's 26. Look at the Bible. God makes man in God's image in the 26th verse. Carbon equals 26. The God element, they say, that's in all things that makes life possible, like water and the sun. And carbon's got this big 6 thing, 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons, man made on the 6th day. The word 6th is 26 as well. Anyway, chapter 1, letters and numbers. 26 will blow you away about how it brings together man, human anatomy, the Bible, the stars, the Mayan calendar that has to do with the stars and a cycle of 26, the cycle of the constellations about every 2,600 years. There's a lot to it. We call celebrity stars. But yeah, with regards to the death yesterday on Memorial Day, a holiday, the Celtics have Drew Holiday, who got sent to the Blazers momentarily, where Bill Walton won the Blazers their only championship in the 76-77 season over the 76ers. It's always been about the numbers. But the ritual went down on the 351st day of his age, which is the 26th triangular number. And if you watched the game last night, and I know it's painful to watch the NBA now if you actually played basketball because it's just one-on-one and this guy's carrying all over the court, no one blowing the whistle, and now like literally they're making this Luka Donkey guy a star. Someone's like, his name is Doncic. Okay, crybaby. I like to call him Donkey because I can't. Well, you know what? I actually like donkeys, so maybe I'll stop. I can't stand this Luka character who cannot dribble and has to carry the ball to get any separation with his hand completely under the ball and no call. It's ridiculous. The NBA has been a joke. Trust me, it's been a joke. I was a teenager looking a million times younger when I was definitively proven that the NBA was a joke. Go back and watch how the Lakers came back on the Blazers the year they did in Game 7 on the Western Conference Finals, down about 20 in the fourth quarter. Nothing but actors, and bad actors at that is what NBA stands for. Anyhow, this guy went to UCLA like Bill Walton. 351st day of his age. Not only that, he's 33 years old. There's only 3 states that equal 33, and one of them is Massachusetts. That's where that Kennedy 33 family's from. JFK killed in Dealey Plaza, named after the 33rd degree Mason. But anyway, they got the UCLA connection. It's the perfect day of his age. The Celtics go to the finals. And that's the thing, too. Like, nobody even cares when we call futures anymore because we've been doing it so long. But again, before this season began, we said the most likely team to be in the finals in the East was Boston Celtics because they're the only team in the whole league out of 30 teams whose full name equals 78. And for the people who think you can make anything add to anything because you have 4 ciphers, there's only 3 teams in the whole league that have a connection to 78. Again, Boston Celtics are the only full team that equals 78. Cleveland equals 78. New York equals 78. All 3 teams in the East, all 3 made it to the playoffs, and the Celtics met expectations. Both Cleveland and New York exceeded expectations, especially New York. And, you know, look how he's the 17th pick, right, of the draft, NBA 17, like how we called it day 1 when LeBron went from Ohio, the 17th state, to LA. We said that day, okay, look, he went on the first day of the 7th month. He will win the Lakers their 17th championship, tie the Celtics in his 17th season. Exactly what he did. We've been talking about Joe Biden, whose Secret Service name is Celtic, and the ongoing rituals between Joe Biden and the Celtics, and this same number 17 over and over. One of the most blatant examples was when the Celtics came back against the Warriors in game one of the finals the year they lost. They came back on a 17-0 run. At the same time, Joe Celtic Biden was giving his speech about the Uvalde shooting, where he ended the speech that lasted 17 minutes saying Uvalde will mourn for 17 more days. And on and on and on. But we're talking about Bill Walton did it 71, Celtics with the big 17 connection and 71 connection, just like UCLA, where both of these guys have connections too. Again, this is the coaching record for Carlisle. He began his career with the Nets, coached for Portland. Speaking of the Bill Walton thing, Indiana, Detroit, back to Indiana, back to Dallas, back to Indiana. But he also played for the Celtics. His playoff record stayed on 71 wins. Notice he got his 79th loss. That's the 22nd prime, like Boston's 22, like basketball, like they were in their 22nd championship in 2022, and fell to 17-5 versus Golden State, which equals 175, like Pope Francis. And again, go back and look at what happened on Pope Francis's birthday that season, way before the finals, on December 17th of that year, 2021. Go back and look. The Celtics lost to the Warriors at home on his birthday, falling to 7-5 at home. Later that year, the Warriors would get their 75th road win, winning the championship in Boston, becoming 7-5 in the championship game. Catholic Church 75, Pope Francis 175, like Golden State. They play in San Francisco, named after St. Francis of Assisi, like Pope Francis. By the way, both San Francisco and Pope Francis equal 122, like the Jesuit motto, Jesus Omnium Salvator's got the 122. But yeah, you can see he also became 20. He stayed on, maybe I had it too small, you guys. Sorry, let me zoom it in. Rick Carlisle stayed on 71 wins as a coach. Again, he lost to Boston yesterday, played for the Celtics. Fell to 26-26 with Indiana. That was his 52nd playoff game with Indiana. Pope equals 52. Go back to May 17th, 17/5. Pope Francis 175. The other way, Pope Francis 122. Pacers got their 122nd. I keep forgetting, either win against the Knicks or playoff win, or maybe it was even both categories on 17/5. And Diddy had the big video release of beating Cassie that day and a big 17-5, 122 ritual. Reminding about how many things they're syncing up with the Pope when all roads lead to Rome. And that's where the Holy Roman Empire is. Over and over. Celtics and Cancer, just for the record, also 118. Big number in John Havlicek's death. Big number in death, period. Dallas, Texas has that 118, where JFK was killed. Luka just became 11-8 at home in the playoffs in his last game, getting the late win over the T-Wolves. Game before that, another late win. Been the star of the series, carrying all over the court. He'd be averaging more turnovers a game than points if they called carrying. It's like embarrassing to watch how dumb sports are now. It's like, but you see how things change over time. A younger generation's been looking at this for 20 years now. They just think that's what basketball looks like. You can just put your hand under the ball and carry. No, that's a no skill thing. Well, I won't say no skill, but it just makes it less skill. Learn how to dribble right. Learn how to be a talented ball dribbler like Kyrie Irving. Literally the best ball dribbler I've ever seen in my life. As rigged as everything is, there's still a level of athleticism and talent. It's funny that they have Kyrie Irving on the team with Luka, and Luka's handling the ball more. The guy who carries all over. First, maybe the best dribbler of all time. Just straight up mockery. And it is. People just don't even recognize the jokes. Like Bill Walton. It would have been his 72nd birthday the day of the election, you guys. He would have turned 72. Who equals 72? President Trump equals 72. President Biden equals 72. Biden became senator-elect in 72. His wife and daughter died days later. When he was 72 years old, Beau Biden died in a big ritual at 46 before Biden became number 46. He died 201 days before the Pope's birthday. Again, huge 201 rituals with both the death of his wife and daughter and his son. 72, like we got the first Jesuit Pope, the first Living Suite 201 on the 72nd day of the year. We were talking about the other day how Diddy's father was killed in 72 at age 33, and then just recently it was 201 days after his birthday. It was 72 date numerology. Cassie responded to the beating video. And that same day, another woman came out from an MTV show and said that Diddy raped her 4 times over 4 years and had a little dick after the Lil Rod allegations. I mean, come on. You don't see who's writing these scripts? Tiger Woods only likes busted women and hotel room number 201. Go back and look it up. Tiger Woods always wears red and black on Sunday, the Jesuit color scheme. But yeah, Bill Walton, you guys, also he's Bill Walton III, died 204 days after his birthday. Bill Walton III, 204. The finals are scheduled for June 6th. The 78th birthday of the Celtics for the 78th NBA Finals is Trump's turning 78, and there's 78 cards in the tarot deck. Bill Walton III, 147. May 27th, his date of death, 3 out of 4 times on the anniversary will be the 147th day of the year. Yes, he did die on the 148th day of the year because it's leap year, but again, his death anniversary, 3 out of 4 years, will be on the 147th day of the year. With regards to his birthday being the election, remember, there's 147 windows on the White House. U.S. president equals 147. President of the United States equals 147. Finished his career with the Celtics in 87, while the Pope's 87, and Joe Biden, who's synced up with the Pope, just like Trump is, both Jesuit educated. Oh, snap, man. My brain is getting bad. Anyway, 78. Trump's about to turn 78. Again, 78th season, 78 cards in the tarot deck. NBA Finals, 78, like Boston Celtics. When Biden won election, he was 78 years old at the time. He was 78 when he won election, and then he turned 79 later that month. And we're talking about how Jesuit is 78 and Society of Jesus is 79. And then, yeah, Bill Walton III, also 87. Fateful pattern for people with the 87 connection, while the Pope's been 87. And again, he finished his career at the Celtics in 87. Finished his career, period. Dead the day they go to another finals. They're going to their 23rd finals. The very next day, this day, what they're doing with the Trump court in New York, another 78 place, exactly 23 weeks to the election. End equals 23. Remember, Bill Russell died on the last day of the Jesuit Ignatian year, July 31st, 2022. Played at Jesuit University of San Francisco. Played for Boston in the NBA right after San Francisco beats Boston. He's dead on the last day of the Jesuit Ignatian year. From his death to Bill Walton's death, Bill and Bill, 666 days later. And if you want to look into something that other people have covered many a times, look into the connection between Bill and ball, and like the word ball for a sport, and the connection between ball and Satan. Again, there's a path through occult understanding of things that make sense. And then what's interesting is in Gematria, Satan equates to 55. And of course, basketball is 5-on-5. We've talked about many a times just the world of pro sports, basketball and beyond. Clearly, these symbolic things that seem to pay tribute to Satan. And remember, the Church of Satan, its founder died 201 days from his birthday, 201 days from the Pope's birthday, Catholic Pope 201, like the Jesuit order. Again, you can start to see who's really behind all these things. Jesuit Trump with the perfect Church of Satan, tribute. Again, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, one more time, go back and look at the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan. Obama joked at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, April 30th, 2011, with Trump in attendance, that Trump would be number 45. And that day was 45 days before Trump's birthday. And MAGA, M-A-G-A, is the highest degree of the Church of Satan. You got to be a major league coincidence theorist to overlook all this. And by the way, if they do end up matching up Dallas and Boston, of course, the big contrived star of Dallas is the great white hope like Larry Bird, but it's Luka Doncic, who's trying to go to the finals for the first time for Dallas in 13 years, the day that Miriam Adelson, M13, took over the team at age 78, who owns all the casinos in Vegas. Yeah, the casino owner now has the unlikely to make it Mavericks on the verge of the finals. It's not over till it's over. The Timberwolves did advance to the conference finals on Kevin Garnett's birthday, who won a championship with the Boston Celtics. It was his 48th birthday, and Boston Celtics is 48. Just like Donald Trump is 48. Just like Trump is 77 right now, about to turn 78. But anyway, I got to wrap this up. It's just not only does this death connect to obviously what's going on in the rigged NBA, but like how we show year after year how they sync up sports and politics. It obviously has a lot to do with the election. Bill Walton's birthday is the day of the election. Joe Biden's Secret Service name is Celtic. He died on a leap year, so he died on the 148th day of the year. Donald J. Trump, 148. The Art of the Deal, 148. His most famous book, Fraternal, 148. Fraternal orders, secret societies, super redundant patterns, songs out there, Gematria, the killing name, songs out there, murder by numbers by the police, where killings as simple as ABC is 1, 2, 3. It's the sport of the elite. That song came out in 83, Murder 83. Just numbers that we talk about all the time. 83 is the 23rd prime. Celtics in their 23rd finals. This season began in what year? 2023. But yeah, R.I.P. Bill Walton. Now, out of all the celebrities I've seen on the world stage, I mean, again, we don't know these people. I have met some NBA players living in Portland, like a lot of little kids do, getting autographs after games. And you could see like a guy like Terry Porter didn't give two shits. He was like, F you, little kid. I'm getting in my Benz and I'm rolling out of here with my driver. And then a guy like Jerome Kersey comes out and he's just talking to you and saying something nice. And, oh, I like that. And he's signing your card. And then Cliff Robinson's out behind him doing the same thing. And Kevin Duckworth's out behind him. And then, you know, Drexler's got an entourage. He's not allowed to talk to anyone. He's too valuable. But, no, you could just see as a kid, like, okay, who is like above humanity and who's down for the fans. And what's sad is, you know, the three nicest ones that I remember are all dead and they all died at young ages. I remember they recently did Cliff Robinson right after they did Chadwick Boseman on the makeshift Jackie Robinson Day. They did him the next day, in fact. And he died at 53 the day the Lakers and Blazers played their 53rd all-time playoff game in Los Angeles equals 53, like how they lost in Super Bowl 53 and there were 16 points. And 53 is the 16th prime. But here, just to close out with the UCLA thing real quick. You see how UCLA is 37? Los Angeles is also 37. So is Bryant. Again, Kobe died in L.A. on the 37th anniversary of Bear Bryant. He died on the 157th day of his age, the 37th prime. UCLA 71 and 26. We already talked about this with Cancer 26 and him dead at 71, the day of this 71-26 ritual with the Celtics and Pacers between a former Celtics player, Rick Carlisle. Talk about keeping it all in the family. And then the 10's interesting because look into the song Marilyn Manson. When you say God, I say 10. That's how the chorus goes. And again, Marilyn Manson is a member of the Church of Satan. Funny enough, he's 55 years old right now. You see how Satan has the 55 and the 10. 55 is the 10th triangular number. It's the 10th Fibonacci number. Notice how God also has the 55 and the 10. And that one actually makes sense in terms of numerological understanding because 55 is the 10th Fibonacci number. And the Fibonacci sequence is said to be the sequence of God. Mathematical sequence. If you don't know what the Fibonacci sequence is, it's spelled like this. Fibonacci. It's also an Italian word, and it equals 55. You know what I mean? So 55 is the 10th triangular number and the 10th Fibonacci number, and numerology is also 55. Okay, I got to stop. I got to start the stream for the people on Patreon. I apologize, you guys. I guess I just had a lot to say today, and again, I don't know what it's going to take. We need somebody out there with power and access and wealth to get behind us and help us out. I mean, isn't everyone just sick of seeing this? If there was ever, I was just trying to say, if there was ever a nice guy on TV from the world of basketball, like I feel it was Bill Walton, man. He just seemed like he had just nothing but positivity. And I think for him, it was just overcoming a lifelong struggle of not being able to speak. He had a huge stuttering problem, couldn't talk, and then he overcame it. And then he even became a TV commentator. And honestly, like, I think he did the best commentary I've ever heard in the history of sports commentary because it was just so off the wall, but it was like, all right, this isn't bothering me. So some of these guys, man, like Joe Buck, it's like, get out of here, Joe Buck, riding on your father's coattails. Nobody likes you. Bring back Bill Walton. All right. Shout out to Sarah Sutherland. Thank you, Sarah. I'm glad you thought it was a great stream. Okay, because, yeah, for other people, I'm being late. I apologize to everyone who I'm being late to, but we'll make up for it. We'll go overtime. So thank you again to everyone who hits the like and the share. If you're not on Patreon, come join us. We're about to stream over there. Until next time.